The Alberta government is stonewalling us at the Rebel, and now we need your help. If you watch us regularly, you know we Rebels love to file a lot of Freedom of Information requests. It's how I found out the NDP knew that Bill 6 would send panic throughout the farming community. I was able to see it right in their emails. It's how we found out that Alberta Environment Minister Shannon Phillips had the shameless audacity to expense her carbon offsets for her flight to Paris for COP21 to us, the taxpayer. I saw it in her expense filings. And it's how we found out Rachel Notley bought the new director of the Public Affairs Bureau a brand new Infinity at the taxpayer's expense. I was able to read the government purchase order. Now, the law that deals with this is the Freedom of Information Act, and it's managed by Service Alberta. The minister in charge is Stephanie McLean, and there is an entire department of people who deal with just these requests. According to the law, it's designed to, and I'm reading directly from the law now, allow any person a right of access to the records in the custody or under the control of a public body subject to limited and specific exceptions as set out in this act. So basically, if the government is doing something, anything, we all have a right to know about it, and this law gives us the ability to file the right paperwork, ask the right questions, and find out. The law is supposed to ensure transparency and accountability to the taxpayer. And you'll remember these were things that Rachel Notley promised us all she would do so much differently than the PCs. But now, sometimes the bureaucrats at that department that handles the Alberta Freedom of Information Act requests break their own rules. At the Rebel, we often receive documents that we've requested coming back to us blacked out, in part or whole. Or worse still, we don't even get the right documents back at all. Remember that document that was leaked to Chris Varco of the Calgary Herald a little while ago? It was the economic assessment of Rachel Notley's carbon tax. And that document showed Rachel Notley knew late last year that her carbon tax on everything would cost us all at least 15,000 Alberta jobs. It was a catastrophic and damning evaluation of Rachel Notley's bad ideas and her desire to pursue them at all costs. Well, did you know that we at the Rebel filed a Freedom of Information request for that document way back in January? We asked for any and all documents pertaining to the economic impact of the carbon tax on Albertans. We knew those documents existed. And in May, we got the government's reply to our request. Now, they didn't send us that document. What they did send us was a pile of government pamphlets and propaganda. 20 pages of useless government pamphlets, not the formal economic assessment we knew was out there. The government expected us to seriously believe that they only had 20 pages of emails, documents, and correspondence for the biggest tax hike in Alberta history? Yeah, right. We were being stonewalled. We were stopped from trying to get the information out to the unsuspecting public about the damage Rachel Notley is set to cause to our communities. Blocking this information from the public, from journalists, is the kind of stuff they do in Venezuela. But it gets worse. The NDP are hiding more documents, this time behind a government paywall. We filed a Freedom of Information request for some documents about the Fort Mac fires. I wanted to know about the screw-ups in the fire management that we haven't heard about. We know Notley called Brian Jean a fearmonger on the very day his house burned down. Here.
In February, a tender was issued for a water skimming air tanker group. On April 29th, this government cancelled the tender. All water skimming aircraft currently contracted are from Abbotsford, BC-based Conair. Can the Premier please explain right now to Albertans why this contract was scrapped and why we are settling for slower, short-range, small, less-capacity water tanker aircraft?
Honourable Premier.
Mr. Speaker, as I have indicated to the member opposite a number of different times, the overall number of resources that will be dedicated to fighting fires are exactly the same as they were before, and in fact they could go up if the need goes up. The fact of the matter is this is about budgeting, how we profile the budget, but we've made it very clear, and all the contractors know full well that when we need them, they need to be there. They are there. They are being hired. Every resource that is required is being dedicated to this fire, Mr. Speaker, and the members opposite should stop the fear-mongering.
Now that was really bad, but we know from that exchange that Notley cancelled contracts and shortened contracts for water bombers, causing companies to take better paying work elsewhere. like when the Martin Mars, the world's largest water bomber, went to an air show in the States instead of working for the Alberta government this year. We also know Notley refused American and Russian firefighting help, only to accept help from South Africa. And then Notley screwed that up with a wage dispute and a work stoppage. We know how the Fort Mac contractors were shut out of the rebuild. But what else? What else was Notley doing to mess the fire management up? So we filed a Freedom of Information request with Agriculture and Forestry, wanting any communications, reports, and messages regarding renting, purchasing, contracting, or hiring of water bombers. And we filed a second Freedom of Information request for records relating to funding and availability of resources, especially aircraft, heavy equipment, and manpower for the fighting of the wildfires. And do you know what we got back? Not the documents, not even government propaganda this time. We got a bill for $3,829.40 to get access to the information the law says we are legally entitled to. This is basically a government paywall to keep pesky journalists at bay. What is Rachel Notley hiding behind her nearly $4,000 paywall? Now, $4,000 is something CBC would pay in the blink of an eye. They don't have to be accountable. They have all that sweet Trudeau cash to keep them afloat, but not us. Besides, CBC would never have to pay this fee because they did never ask these questions of Rachel Notley. And there's a reason for that. There is a reason why no one else in the media is asking the questions we at The Rebel do. Since Rachel Notley took power, John Archer from the CBC, Matt Dykstra from Sun Media, Cheryl Oates from Global, Heather Boyd from the Canadian Press, and Mary MacArthur of the Western Producer have all taken jobs with the NDP or the NDP government, and I'm quite sure I've even missed someone on my list. And I'm not even listing the ones like Marianne Ibrahim, who took jobs with the union arm of the NDP, the Alberta Union of Provincial Employees. There were over 100,000 jobs lost in the private sector last year, while Rachel Notley went on a public sector hiring spree. These reporters aren't stupid. They know where their future is, and it's safe in the arms of Rachel Notley. It's glaringly clear now, every story they do is a job interview for these mainstream media reporters. But not for me. I just want to get the truth out to Albertans. But we at The Rebel are not the CBC. We exist in the private sector. And I need a little help from you this time. Can you help me raise the nearly $4,000 to see what Rachel Notley is hiding from me and from you? If you can you go to whatissshehiding.ca and help with the donation? Rachel Notley wants me to stop looking, and I don't want to. There could be something really bad, really damning in those documents. Rachel Notley is hiding something. She always is. And whatever money we have left over extra, I'll use to file more Freedom of Information requests. Because we know the NDP are going to make me pay more and more ransoms just to be able to bring Albertans the truth. If you can, go to whatissshehiding.ca and help me find out what's in those documents. For the Rebel.media, I'm Sheila Gunn Reid.
Thanks for watching. Click here to never miss a Rebel update. Want even more of The Rebel? Well, click here to become a premium member.